As we age, our bodies undergo profound changes, neurologically, metabolically, hormonally. And the food we eat starts to matter more than ever. One category of food that often goes overlooked in aging nutrition is nuts. Tiny, portable, seemingly simple, but they can either nourish your aging brain and body or burden it with inflammation, poor metabolism, and unnecessary risk. For seniors over 60, the difference between choosing the right and wrong nuts can affect cognitive clarity, joint health, heart rhythm, and even sleep quality. Let's break it down: 5 of the best and 5 of the worst nuts for anyone over 60, based not on opinion, but on hard science, metabolic function, and how these nuts interact with the aging nervous system, cardiovascular function, and inflammation patterns. Why LNS walnuts are rich in alpha-linolenic acid cereulide, a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid. As the brain ages, its demand for healthy fats increases, particularly those involved in myelin repair, neuroplasticity, and anti-inflammatory signaling. Walnuts have been shown in human studies to slow cognitive decline, improve working memory, and even support vascular elasticity, which is crucial for maintaining healthy blood flow to the brain. The polyphenols in walnuts also interact with gut bacteria to produce butyrate, a short-chain fatty acid that helps maintain intestinal barrier function, which is often compromised in older adults. Almonds are rich in vitamin E, magnesium, and L-arginine, all of which support brain health, insulin sensitivity, and vascular integrity. Vitamin E in particular is a powerful antioxidant that neutralizes free radicals in the neuronal membrane, protecting against age-related memory loss and oxidative stress. Magnesium helps regulate blood pressure and improve sleep depth, both of which are crucial for maintaining synaptic pruning and hormonal balance in later life. Seniors who consume a handful of almonds regularly often report more consistent energy, better sleep, and improved neuromuscular coordination. Pistachios are one of the few nuts high in lutein and zeaxanthin, antioxidants that concentrate in the retina and cerebral cortex, protecting against macular degeneration and cognitive fatigue. They're also high in protein, especially the amino acid phenylalanine, which is a precursor to dopamine, a neurotransmitter tied to motivation, attention, and mood regulation. Dopaminergic function tends to decline after 60, and foods that preserve its integrity help sustain mental drive and resilience. Brazil Nenes, a single Brazil nut, contains up to 100 micrograms of selenium, a trace mineral vital for thyroid hormone production and detoxification enzymes like glutathione peroxidase. As we age, our detoxification capacity drops, and Brazil nuts help restore redox balance in the liver and brain. Selenium deficiency is common in older populations and is linked to cognitive dysfunction, fatigue, and slower reaction time. 1 Brazil nut per day can make a measurable difference. Any more and you may overdo it. Hazelnuts are rich in monounsaturated fats, folate, and manganese. Folate, or vitamin B9, plays a critical role in methylation cycles, which are responsible for turning genes on and off, regulating mood, and reducing homocysteine levels, a known biomarker for cardiovascular and neurodegenerative diseases. Seniors with optimal folate intake show greater brain volume, improved memory recall, and enhanced mood stability. Hazelnuts also provide a calming effect through their tryptophan content, supporting serotonin production and restful sleep. The brain doesn't stop changing at 60. In fact, for many people, it's the decade where neural pruning accelerates, inflammation rises, and memory starts to slip, not because of age alone, but because of what's feeding that brain. Among the most overlooked brain influencers are the foods that seem too small to matter, like nuts. Tiny, often praised as healthy, they can be either medicine or silent agitators depending on their type, quality, and how they interact with the body's changing internal landscape. For seniors, the right nut can enhance cognition, support neurotransmitter balance, and provide essential lipids the aging brain craves. But the wrong nut, especially consumed regularly, can quietly erode cognitive resilience, increase inflammation, and make the brain fog that many dismiss as just aging even worse. Consider walnuts. These are not just snacks, they are neurochemical enhancers. rich in alpha-linolenic acid, a plant-based omega-3. They support the structure of neuronal membranes and the synthesis of neurotransmitters involved in memory and learning. Studies have shown that daily walnut consumption in older adults is linked to improved reaction time and greater working memory. That's because the brain is an electrical and chemical network that relies on healthy fat to transmit signals. When it gets the right type of fat, the entire system works more efficiently. But when the source is wrong, say from nuts roasted in poor quality oils or overloaded with sodium, the opposite happens. Signal transmission slows, synaptic connections become less stable, and the risk for neurodegenerative disorders increases. Peanuts are a perfect example of a high-risk food miscategorized as a healthy nut. They're not even true nuts but legumes, and they're often carriers of aflatoxins, naturally occurring molds that have been linked to liver stress and immune system dysregulation. As the body ages, its capacity to neutralize environmental toxins declines. The liver, the body's chief detox organ, begins to slow. Cognitive clarity is not just a matter of brain function. It's tied directly to liver function and the quality of the foods that pass through it. Eating peanuts regularly, especially non-organic or improperly stored ones, introduces a burden that the older body may not be able to detoxify efficiently. Over time, that toxic load builds. Brain fog deepens, energy crashes, motivation slips. Cashews, another nut often found in snack aisles and considered healthy, present a different kind of threat: oxalates. These naturally occurring compounds bind with calcium and may contribute to kidney stones, a risk that increases with age due to lower fluid intake and declining kidney efficiency. But oxalates don't just impact the kidneys. They can trigger low-level inflammation in the gut, and since the gut is where many neurotransmitters like serotonin are produced, inflammation there sends a ripple effect to the brain. The result is cognitive fatigue, poor mood regulation, and in some cases, disrupted sleep. Seniors who already struggle with GI sensitivity may find that even a moderate intake of oxalate-heavy nuts worsens their mental and emotional balance. In contrast, almonds are a protective agent. Rich in vitamin E, they act as antioxidants, defending against oxidative stress, a process where free radicals damage cells, including neurons. Vitamin E has been directly associated with slower cognitive decline in aging populations. The kind of fats in almonds, monounsaturated fats, support healthy cholesterol ratios and vascular health. Since brain performance depends heavily on blood flow, anything that supports vascular elasticity is essentially feeding the brain's vitality. Seniors who add a handful of almonds daily often report steadier energy, clearer thinking, and less cognitive fatigue in the afternoons, a time of day when brain fog commonly sets in. Then there's pistachios. These contain lutein and zeaxanthin, two compounds that concentrate in the retina but also affect the cerebral cortex. These antioxidants filter blue light, reduce oxidative stress in visual and cognitive pathways, and help maintain attention and alertness. For seniors who want to preserve their vision and their mental sharpness, pistachios are a high-impact food if eaten raw or dry, roasted without additives. Once they're loaded with artificial flavors, MSG, or cheap seed oils, their benefits are quickly canceled out. The quality of the nut, not just the type, becomes a deciding factor in whether it helps or harms. Brain aging is not just about neurons. It's about what fuels them, what surrounds them, and what protects them from damage. Nuts may be small, but they're dense with chemical messengers. They either contribute to stability, plasticity, and performance, or they quietly introduce chaos, oxidation, and decline. Seniors who become selective about the type and quality of the nuts they consume aren't just making a dietary choice. They're making a decision to preserve their brain's agility, clarity, and endurance for the years ahead, and those decisions compound daily. The brain pays attention to what we feed it. Every nut is a message, either of support or sabotage. Micronutrients are the unsung heroes of longevity. They're the cofactors, the spark plugs, the essential players that keep your brain firing, your heart pumping efficiently, and your hormones communicating with precision. After age 60, the body's demand for these trace nutrients doesn't decline, it increases. That's because the body becomes less efficient at absorbing, storing, and utilizing many of them. The brain loses some of its plasticity. The cardiovascular system becomes more vulnerable to pressure changes and arterial stiffness. Hormonal pathways, particularly those related to thyroid function, stress regulation, and sexual vitality, begin to flatten out. That's where the right kinds of nuts come into play, not just as sources of healthy fats or fiber, but as concentrated vessels of crucial micronutrients that support these systems at their most vulnerable stages. Almonds are one of the most impactful examples. Rich in magnesium, vitamin E, and riboflavin, they are particularly effective in regulating blood pressure, preserving the integrity of the vascular system, and protecting neurons from oxidative damage. Magnesium, in particular, is vital for over 300 enzymatic reactions in the body, including the synthesis of ATP, the energy currency of every cell. Seniors often suffer from subclinical magnesium deficiency due to dietary gaps and reduced absorption. This deficiency contributes to arrhythmias, brain fog, muscle cramps, and even sleep disruption. A handful of almonds daily restores that balance, improving neuromuscular signaling, cardiovascular rhythm, and parasympathetic nervous system tone, which is essential for rest and recovery. Walnuts, on the other hand, are high in polyunsaturated fatty acids, including omega-3s, but they also contain manganese, copper, and folate. Manganese is crucial for bone health and antioxidant defenses. Copper helps with iron metabolism and red blood cell formation, both necessary for maintaining oxygen delivery to the brain and body. Folate supports DNA repair and methylation, which influence everything from gene expression to neurotransmitter balance. The brain after 60 thrives on folate as it helps reduce homocysteine, an amino acid that in high levels is linked to cognitive decline and cardiovascular damage. When you consume walnuts regularly, you're not just feeding your brain fats, you're feeding it precision tools for repair, regeneration, and resilience. Brazil nuts are uniquely powerful in their micronutrient contribution, specifically because of their selenium content. Just one Brazil nut can contain 95-100 micrograms of selenium, a mineral that acts as a cofactor for glutathione peroxidase, one of the body's master antioxidants. Selenium deficiency is directly correlated with poor thyroid function, slowed metabolism, and increased oxidative stress in the brain and liver. In seniors, where metabolic slowdown is already a factor, a selenium-rich diet can mean the difference between energetic days and chronic fatigue. Moreover, selenium influences mood, with studies linking adequate levels to reduced risk of depression and better emotional stability in aging adults. A single Brazil nut per day becomes a hormonal stabilizer and detoxification assistant, making it not just food but a strategic therapeutic intervention. Hazelnuts are another underrated powerhouse. They contain a rich blend of vitamin B6, folate, and manganese, nutrients that support the nervous system and hormone production. Vitamin B6 is essential for the synthesis of neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, both of which decline with age and influence everything from motivation and mood to cognitive clarity and restful sleep. Seniors who suffer from low B6 levels often experience heightened irritability, mood swings, and memory issues. Just a moderate intake of hazelnuts can replenish that deficiency and help restore neurochemical balance. They also provide tryptophan, an amino acid needed for melatonin production, enhancing sleep quality in individuals who may struggle with circadian rhythm disruption post-retirement. Pistachios contribute to micronutrient health in yet another unique way. They are rich in potassium, vitamin B6, and thiamine. Potassium is vital for maintaining healthy blood pressure, which is critical as arterial compliance declines with age. Proper potassium intake can also reduce the risk of stroke, improve muscle function, and support the electrical activity of the heart. Meanwhile, vitamin B6 again plays a role in hormone production and immune function, two areas that weaken with age. The cumulative effect of pistachios is better regulation of cardiovascular load, improved endocrine signaling, and greater neuromuscular balance. Their fiber and antioxidant content also contribute to improved gut health, which is foundational for the synthesis of hormones like serotonin and for immune regulation. When we talk about aging, we often speak in terms of decline. But with the right micronutrient strategy, decline is not inevitable. The nuts we choose to consume after 60 can become daily deposits into our long-term cognitive reserve, hormonal resilience, and cardiovascular strength. They deliver precision tools, specific nutrients that may be difficult to obtain in the modern diet without supplementation. By prioritizing micronutrient-dense nuts over calorie-dense, nutrient-poor foods, seniors give their bodies and minds the building blocks to not just survive aging, but to optimize through it. Every handful becomes a signal telling the body to repair, rebuild, and regulate with strength and clarity. As the body ages, its needs evolve. The systems that once ran effortlessly now require more support, more attention, and above all, more intention. After 60, the human body becomes more selective, not by preference, but by biological necessity. The margin for nutritional error narrows, and the impact of every choice, what you eat, when you eat it, how it's absorbed, amplifies across every system. This is not the time for trendy diets, quick fixes, or blindly following health fads that promise more than they deliver. It's a time for strategic nutrition, rooted in physiology, supported by evidence, and tailored to the unique changes of the aging body. Trendy foods may sell in the marketplace, but they don't always translate to cellular health. What the body needs post-60 is not Instagram-worthy meals, but nutrients that directly support neuroprotection, hormonal stability, muscle preservation, vascular flexibility, and metabolic balance. These are complex systems that have sustained decades of wear. They don't respond to hype, they respond to precision. Strategic nutrition honors that complexity by asking not, is this popular? But what does this support biologically, and how does it serve me long term? The digestive system, for example, changes dramatically after 60. Stomach acid decreases, enzyme production slows, and the microbiome becomes more sensitive to disruption. As a result, many older adults develop issues with nutrient absorption, particularly of B vitamins, magnesium, calcium, and essential fatty acids. Eating trendy superfoods without understanding their digestibility or interaction with medications can create more harm than benefit. A smoothie filled with raw kale, turmeric, chia seeds, and exotic fruit may sound powerful, but it could interfere with thyroid function, overload oxalates, or upset glucose regulation. Strategic nutrition instead focuses on foods that deliver what's needed in a form the aging gut can process, such as lightly steamed greens, soaked nuts, fermented vegetables, and healthy fats from trusted sources. Metabolic rate also declines with age, meaning the body burns fewer calories at rest. This doesn't mean seniors need to eat less food. It means they need to eat smarter food. Every bite must carry more nutritional density and less empty energy. This is where the quality of fats, proteins, and even carbohydrates becomes crucial. Refined sugars, processed flours, and artificial additives may be tolerated in youth, but begin to manifest as inflammation, fatigue, joint pain, and cognitive haze in later years. Meanwhile, high-quality proteins like eggs, lentils, and sprouted seeds provide the amino acids necessary for muscle maintenance and neurotransmitter production. Fats from nuts like almonds and walnuts deliver not just calories but tools for cell membrane repair and anti-inflammatory signaling. Strategic nutrition leans into these choices, not occasionally but consistently. Then there's the issue of inflammation. Chronic low-grade inflammation, often called inflammaging, is one of the most significant contributors to age-related disease. It plays a role in everything from arthritis and heart disease to Alzheimer's and depression. Many trendy foods, especially those highly processed or filled with added sugar and industrial oils, quietly feed that inflammation. Strategic eating, by contrast, selects foods that fight it Omega-3 rich nuts, turmeric in bioavailable forms, foods high in polyphenols like berries and dark chocolate, and prebiotic fibers that nourish beneficial gut bacteria. The point isn't to impress a crowd or follow a social media challenge. The point is to disarm inflammation at its source and build a foundation for graceful aging. Hormonal balance also shifts post-60. For women, estrogen and progesterone drop. For men, testosterone often declines. These changes affect everything from mood and memory to sleep and muscle tone. Trendy detox teas or fat-burning supplements offer no lasting benefit and can stress an already taxed adrenal system. But foods that support hormonal precursors like healthy fats, B vitamins, zinc, and magnesium can help the body modulate its own endocrine rhythm naturally. This includes nuts like Brazil nuts for selenium, pumpkin seeds for zinc, and fatty fish for omega-3s. Again, these aren't flashy. They're foundational. Lastly, it's important to address consistency. The aging body thrives on rhythm and reliability. Unlike the flexibility of a younger metabolism, older systems favor predictable inputs. This means eating meals at consistent times, keeping blood sugar stable, and avoiding erratic highs and lows, from fasting too aggressively or overeating processed snacks. Strategic nutrition is not about restriction, it's about refinement. It's a lifestyle rooted in respect for what the body truly needs and an awareness of what no longer serves it. Every meal becomes a message, every nutrient a signal. After 60, eating is not just survival, it's strategy. It's the recognition that your food choices are not about trends, but about supporting the architecture of your brain, the strength of your heart, and the flow of your energy. This is the season to honor the intelligence of your biology and to feed it accordingly, with care, with consistency, and with the long game in mind.